Welcome back, everybody, to our Member Spotlight initiative from the UNEP Faith for Earth Youth Council. We are now entering a new series, Member Spotlight series, focusing on the intersections between environmental sustainability, environmental advocacy, and human rights. And I'm delighted to be joined by one of my fellow UNEP Faith for Earth Youth Council members, Joshua Kimani, who works as the General Secretary of the Orthodox Christian Youth Association of Kenya and the Ecological Coordinator of the World Fellowship of Orthodox Youth. And he'll be speaking about his role working on the intersections of environmental sustainability and human rights and faith. So welcome, Joshua. It's great to have you with us today and looking forward to our conversation.
Oh, thank you so much, Christian, for the kind welcome. I'm very, very impressed by the work you're doing, and I definitely do look forward to the conversation.
Fantastic. I'm wondering if you could start off a little bit by explaining a bit more about what those roles are as General Secretary and Ecological Coordinator, as well as your own role within the UNEP Faith for Earth Youth Council.
Oh, thank you so much. My name is Joshua Kimani. I am from Kenya, and specifically, I work for the Orthodox Christian Youth Association of Kenya. So this is the umbrella movement where all young people who are Orthodox in Kenya belong to. Because our church in Kenya currently is a big church, as I would say, and we have a membership of more than 100,000 registered young people in the Orthodox Church in Kenya. So by the grace of God, I spearhead activities and programs that aim to empower these young people, because also Kenya faces its many challenges, including the difficult economic situation of the country. Sometimes literacy levels are way down, and so many other challenges. So we have a higher calling of making sure that all these people have access to education. Sometimes we assist in programs that help people to alleviate them from poverty. Sometimes we provide food and everything to the other young people. So that is the general role I play in the Orthodox Christian Association of Kenya, spearheading the programs. I'm also the ecological coordinator of the World Fellowship of Orthodox Youth. So this is called Suprasho. It's a new organization that was named after Sindesmos. Sindesmos was the World Gathering of Orthodox Youth, or the World Fellowship of Orthodox Youth, but for some time it went dormant, and there was need for us to come up with a place where young people could interact, where young people could come and share what they are doing, where young people could feel that there is global unity in the church. So that is where Suprasho was born. By the grace of God, I lead the ecology department. We have done a lot. In July, we had a World Gathering of Orthodox Youth in Poland, where we gathered more than 90 young people from 23 different countries. And we were speaking about it is the time for the Lord to act. That was our theme, liturgy and creation. We delved into issues of environmental sustainability, which I will be sharing more about in this session. I am also a member of the UNEP Faith for Earth Youth Council, and this is the most amazing platform I have seen, where young people from different religions and different faiths come together. We put our minds together, we share, we witness what each other is doing, and we are able to share what we are doing and assist each other to grow. So I feel this is the best space to be in, and I'm so grateful to you, Christian, and the other organizers for putting up this together. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's really great that you mentioned that, because it seems like there's a lot of overlap between your work of convening and our work at the Council of Convening. And I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit more about when you do this convening, what's the focus of those organizations, of those meetings, when you introduce an agenda to the discussion? What is it that most people are caring about and wanting to talk about in these fora?
Yes, thank you so much, Christian, for that good question. I think what people talk about the fora is directly what people are affected by. And I say this because of this. For example, here in Kenya, we have consistently had challenges of drought. In Kenya also, we have consistently had challenges of flooding. In the same country, we have challenges of hunger and all these things. So it would therefore be right for us to call a fora that discusses issues of climate change, issues of the environment. And again, because we are a faith-based organization, we try and see maybe perhaps which role can we as young people and we as a church play to at least see that we elevate the young people from these problems. Also globally, the church has been very vocal about it. For example, our ecumenical patriarch, His All Holiness Bartholomew, has been very vocal about the involvement of even the young people in this whole ecology space, because the young people are the majority. Like here in Kenya, we did statistics, And statistics say that 80% of the country is made up of young people, which means that even 80% of the church should be young people. 80% of the people who are making the decisions should be young people. 80% of the people who are fighting, against these injustices, ecological injustices happening, should also be young people. So that is where we come in and we try and make sure that we provide the forum that the young people can be able to discuss this, air out their opinions, because I also feel the young people have a lot to contribute. We have very youthful solutions, and sometimes our solutions are the best and can be used to progressively take our world to the next level. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's exactly right, that the role of young people is and should be central within these discussions. And as the youth council that focuses on faith, I'm curious how the role of faith can influence these discussions as well. So from your own personal experience, how does your faith inspire you to uphold human rights, but then also care for the earth and find the intersection between those two? Because you mentioned things like flooding and drought, and of course that comes alongside human rights issues and the lack of human rights, access to clean water, access to food security. How does your faith inspire you to look at these two issues and work to bring them together and advocate for a more sustainable and just society?
Yes, thank you so much. I think our faith basically gives us the groundwork and the teachings that we follow. It sort of codifies the kind of approaches we have, in the sense that, like, our Holy Orthodox Church has been referring a lot to saints. It is the one Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. We have saints under whose inspirations we see issues of even climate change. Saints who went through many difficulties, saints who persevered a lot, and that is why they were crowned sainthood. And for example, our church is very clear that human beings, we are priests of creation. Our work is to be stewards of what God has created for us. And therefore, I feel that our faith basically solidifies the kind of approaches we take. Because, these issues are very serious. Because, for instance, here in Kenya, last year, we had a very big humanitarian crisis where so many people died. Actually, we had a group of faithfuls in a place called Tana River in the Orthodox Church, where we lost so many people to floods. So you can imagine that the church has to come in and provide these humanitarian responses. And I feel that is where our faith inspires to, because like for our church, it's very clear, and also for the other churches, that we have to have philanthropy and diaconia, that we have to look at a way where we can provide, solutions, real solutions. Not only sometimes saying that, we are praying for it to change, but at least sometimes coming in and doing some real work, and real work that is able to change lives.
And what, from your perspective as an Orthodox Christian, what does your faith teach you about the relationship between humans and the well-being of humans on this planet and the interactions with the natural environment? Is that another place of focus that you do a lot of work in, and what does that actually look like in terms of practice when you're talking about these discussions and faith being the root of our action, so to speak?
Yeah, so our faith from the word go is very clear that human beings are priests of creation. That our work, God created us to take care of the environment. That when God was creating us, he knew that human beings had the rationale, had the ability to make choices, and that is what he endowed in us. And by that, we are enabled as human beings to make choices that, one, are able to sustain the environment, which was created way before us as human beings, and two, intergenerational equity. Make sure that at least the ones who come after us find us faithful, that we left what we found. So I think those two teachings are very, very core, and that is what most of the times I like referring to. Because I feel that if you human beings look at even the life of Christ, how Christ lived when he was on earth, we would be inspired by so many things, how he did his things, how he taught his disciples that, you don't care for yourself, but also care for your neighbor. And for us, even our neighbor is even our environment. We cannot do anything without it. I like referring to a friend of mine who tells me a lot that actually the environment can exist without us, but we cannot exist without it. So that means we as human beings have a very big role to play, and even the church acknowledges that. And the teachings of the church are very clear that it is our work as human beings to maintain the environment and to make sure that at least the ones who come after us find us faithful, that at least what God gave us is what we left to the other generations in even a better way.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. It's interesting I mentioned that's a teaching, essentially, to live in a neighborly relationship with the environment. But of course, given the situation that we're now in, we live in an environmental crisis. We see the consequences of the climate crisis happening around the world, in Kenya, as you mentioned. What do you think are the spiritual and moral roots causes of the ongoing environmental crisis, if there are any, and where is that failure between the teaching and the practice actually caring for the environment? Where has that manifested itself most prominently in your experience?
Thank you so much, Christian. I think more often than not, I have called it a question of values. I feel our society, we have gone to an extent where our values and our priorities are upside down, in the sense that sometimes we human beings are led by a lot of greed and passions, and we want to amass a lot of wealth, we want to amass a lot of things, and we want to live the best lives we can. But sometimes we forget at which cost are we doing all this? And that is a question we should always be asking ourselves. Because sometimes you find issues like very huge emissions of gases happening. And all this is happening because someone has a company that he wants to make a lot of profit that he himself cannot even utilize. And even his maybe 2-3 generations cannot even finish the kind of money he has amassed. And unfortunately, there is a huge imbalance. And that is why I'm saying it is an issue of value. It is the value system of society that has become so messed up that we human beings think that, and this is informed by the capitalist approaches, where we want to make sure that every person is for himself. And God is the only one who is for us all, that we want to make sure you amass a lot of wealth, you amass something that you cannot even finish, you yourself, it is even too much for you. And after you amass all of it, you're still not contented. You still want to destroy the environment and make sure that it is completely messed up. So that is where our morals went wrong as human beings, when we started being too greedy. And this is, I mean, the original sin that we had, and it is part of our human weakness. But again, the church has a very big role to play, because as the church, we are able to inform the value system and belief system of a society. So I feel that to a larger extent, the church has also contributed to some of the challenges we have, because the church has been at the face of all this injustice. Since time in existence, the church was there. But sometimes the church was used by people, because some of the people who even do this are people with high-ranking positions in the church. And that is why we are saying we need to raise a new generation of young people who are woke, consciously woke, who can stand up and look at injustice and say that I will not support this because this is plain injustice to our environment. That I stand for climate action, and I want climate action now, because I know we are going to finish the environment and we are going to finish all of us. Where are we going to live if we have no place that is habitable for us? Where our children are going to live when they come? So we must stand up as young people and again redefine our moral value or belief system or value system of the society.
Yeah, and I think you touched on this as well, that the church can play a powerful role in that, specifically in rerouting the discussion within those traditional values. Is there anything else that the church, or rather faith communities, and now we can maybe expand a bit to include all faith communities, what role can they play in rerouting us in those values, as it were?
I think faith communities, in one way or another, have a lot of deep influence in the society, because most of the times we normally say that even in leadership positions, the ones who are chosen are the best of the society. And most of the times, the best of the societies are intertwined in one way or another with the faith communities. Because, you know, the global way of thinking is that faith plays a very big role in even shaping who we are, how we respond to issues, and even how we deal with the issues we face. So, for example, faith communities can play a very big role in even influencing our economical and political landscapes, in the sense that faith communities, some of the people who are in leadership positions, if not all, are part of a faith community. So imagine if all faith communities could come up together and we would have a harmonized way of thinking. And we say that let us put an end to this spiritual injustice, ecological injustice that is happening. And we stand up very strongly, and when even a person who is a decision maker comes to your faith community, you're able to address them and tell them that we need to change how we are doing things because we feel this is wrong. It is not in line with the beliefs and faith systems we have. So I feel that faith communities indeed have a very big role to play, because all these people who are decision makers at the end of the day belong to a faith community. And if that faith community could sensitize them on the need that is there and the kind of challenges we're facing, we would have a very safe world.
Yeah. No, I think that's powerful. I think it's true. The final question that I have related to that is, how can young people of faith, you mentioned working with young people, we are, of course, the Youth Council, how can young people of faith who are looking to be more productive and engaged within this space, how can they contribute? What practical advice would you give them as they look to take this journey forward?
Thank you so much for saying that. I want to read an inspiration that I saw from the Ecumenical Patriarch, His All Holiness Bartholomew. And His All Holiness says that the environmental challenges we face today are unprecedented, but so are the opportunities. And the young generation stands at the forefront of seizing these opportunities. Even if the scale of the challenges sometimes feels overwhelming, you should remember that change does not always start with the massive shifts. Change starts with individual actions. It starts with you. Each one of you has the power to inspire and educate your communities. So this is exactly what I would like to say to the young people. Like His All Holiness is saying, that we do not need a lot for us to be able to achieve or for us to be able to go where we want. Let our change start with the individual person, the young person who is watching this kind of video, the young person who is leading even a small community of 5 or 10 people, the young person who can even talk to family members and they can listen to him. Let the change start with them, because most of the times we sit in conversations, conferences, meetings, discussing climate change, but are we even able to do at least one good thing or one single action, like His All Holiness is saying, that is able to at least cause some impact? So that is what I'm telling the young people. Sometimes let us not look at what other people can do for us, because I also think that young people will fail there. They're always saying we need the government to do this for us. We need maybe the United Nations to do this for us. We need certain people to do. We need our leaders to do this for us. But what can you as an individual, Joshua, do? Maybe what can you, Christian, do? So I feel if you're able to approach it that way, we would have an all-impactful process that is achieved. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I don't think there's a better note to end on. So thank you very much, Joshua, and look forward to following along with your work. And I hope that this video inspires and influences many people to continue the good work. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, beloved brother. It was enjoyable to speak to you.